Hey everybody, thank you for watching the replay of Using Play to Improve Writing, Episode 8, where we're focusing on drawing. For those of you coming in live, thank you for joining me tonight. I've been doing a series over the last 8 weeks, because I'm on episode 8 weeks, on how to use play to improve writing. And I wanted to kind of touch base back with you and see if any of these ideas are helpful. I've talked to a couple homeschool parents, actually on a field trip last week, about how difficult writing is. And not just because it's also hard for them as a parent, or as an individual, as an adult, as a woman, but teaching writing, I think kids they just don't enjoy it. A lot of times your writing exercises are very separate from any context they're interested in or connected to. It's a lot of grammar and spelling and sentence structure, a lot of the formality of language, and not about ideas and not about stories and not about things that interest the individual. And so I've been doing this series because I think that one way into beginning to write more and thus be able to talk about writing is to use play. And so I've done 8 episodes. Tonight is drawing, and I'd like to continue this series. Up until now, I've done things rather general. Video games was general. Drawing, arts and crafts, those are kind of general. Even Legos, I think, was more specific. American Girl was more specific. Even cooking was more specific. But I would love to get into some real specific kinds of games or real specific kind of play. Let's say that your family really enjoys Monopoly or Cash Flow or Candyland, or Twister, or some of the different specific games, card games, video games, very specific video games, Minecraft, or most of the video games I know are older. Especially if you have a teen, are they playing a specific game, video game, even online? I want to dive into more specific kinds of writing that you can do. But I need more specific play ideas. So I have some that people give me, again, still very general. So I'm going to throw it out there that if you have some ideas, please come share them in my group, Homeschooling Hub, and I'll put the link up here soon. And come tell me, what specific play does your family, your child do that you would love to see one of these sessions on, one of these episodes on? How can I use that to improve writing? So for those who don't know me or don't know me well, I'm Jill Wolf, a learning specialist, and I help homeschool parents plan meaningful experiences in order to awaken the learn in learning. I really want to help you understand what it means to be a learner and some learning strategies and the way to pick learning strategies for your child. And so I focus on the learning part of it. And so tonight we're going to focus on learning writing, improving writing specifically, and we're going to do it in drawing. Now, I will start by saying I am not the greatest drawer, if that's even a word. I do stick figures and lines, and even when I'm drawing illustrations for some of the children's books that I'm working on, it's all just stick figures and draw what was going on the board, because I would draw a car and I draw a mountain, or a road or people in it or a wagon or a ball, all those things. And I was just terrible at drawing those pictures. But I said, look, it's not about the accuracy of this picture here. It's about us analyzing the whole scenario. So it was different, but that was that situation. I'm not a great drawer. And I've never really taken a drawing class or been all that interested, but I did get a couple books, and I thought I'd pull these out and share them because I'm actually going to start playing around with these myself, just for me, and then try them with my son as he gets a little older. But there are these series 1, 2, 3 draw, and they have cartoon people, cartoon C characters, And I'm sure they have a handful more of this kind. But what they do is they walk you through. Let me find one here. Okay, so like our goal is to draw this guy right here. And so they walk you through each step of how to draw. Now, tonight isn't about drawing. It's about using drawing to improve writing. But they can go both ways. So I can start with some writing and draw from it. I can draw something and do some writing from it. And so I'm just saying that if you have not really explored drawing with your children, there are some books that you can do it. Here's this other one called The 1, 2, 3s of Creative Doodling. And they actually show you the steps, see if I'm pointing it right, to make a little boy or a little girl. And so if you do these kind, they're more like doodle creatures and even fonts and stuff. But so drawing can be very clip art looking. It can be drawing of a live object like a bird or an animal at the zoo, or even your family sitting there. It could also be that you draw with different mediums. I draw with pencil, colored pencils, charcoal. But the kinds of drawing that you've tried or that you like, they give way to some thinking about what is the meaning, what is the story behind, what is represented here, what is the feeling of this drawing. And so sometimes we draw to go with writing we've already done. So I'm working on a picture book, and as I go through it, I have my text and I lay out where I want the words and how I want those to look, but then also kind of sketch the drawing with it. So the illustration goes with the text. So you could do some drawing and writing simultaneously. So I'm going to put up here, and I warn you, my spelling simultaneously, hopefully, simultaneously, in that I decide I want to, say, tell a story. One idea is a story. So I'm going to do some writing and draw pictures all the way through. And so maybe you make a picture book. And to be honest, picture books, although a lot of kids see them as very juvenile, like, oh, that's for my 4-year-old brother, that's not for me, I'm 8. But just because you're reading a chapter book at 8 doesn't mean you should try to write one just yet. Chapter books are a lot harder to write. Picture books, because there's illustration with them, you're not going to get this published, you're just kind of writing a story, but you can do picture and draw with it. So if you simultaneously write and do drawing, you could do a story that you want to tell with a character, and then you draw the pictures and you write the words and you put them. I do that with a lot of kids that like, oh, I want to write a story. Okay, so we're going to draw the pictures as we go and see. Many times the picture helps me figure out what happens next in the story or something about the character. Sometimes something I write helps me know what to draw for my picture. So that's when you're working on it simultaneously. So story is one thing you can do simultaneously. Another is I'm going to put some kind of informational. And it's a big category. But let's say, in fact, I've heard some people ask about nature journaling. And that's going out in nature in some capacity, making some observations, and drawing and writing simultaneously. Again, you may be taking your pencils and color pencils and go out and just look into nature, see what you observe, and try to draw that. And then write things from it or label things from it, or how do I feel? Or maybe there is just a setting where I just have a certain feel, like at sunset. There's just a certain feel at that time of day. So I'm going to go to a place where I can see a beautiful sunset. I'm going to let the feeling overtake me, and I'm going to let words and sentences go with what I draw. And I'm going to go back and forth with simultaneously writing some information or even feelings. So it can be personal, informational or personal about this moment and what I'm doing in it. It could even be personal. Hey, Karen. It could even be personal, like something you're going through. And many times words escape us, but pictures don't. You know that quote, a picture's worth 1,000 words, or I think that's the quote. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I feel like I'm butchering that quote, but it's indicating that something artistic might be able to better express what's going on than words. So we might be looking at something personal that I want to put on the page, but simultaneously then I write some feelings next to it, or something I'm going through. Maybe there's a conflict with little brother or with mom or dad, and I go, and so I do some drawing and I do some writing, and I do them simultaneously. It could be something assigned like a story. It could be something that I just go do to help get out whatever I'm going through. Informational is just a little less about feelings and more about observation, which I realize observation can also be very artistic and personal, and feelings as well. But if we separated it to, okay, we're going to go observe in nature, and I want you to observe what an animal and what it's doing, and we're going to draw a picture of it, and we're going to write about that. And it doesn't have to be a story. I'm not making that character or that little animal a character. I'm just going to write about what I observed it doing, and I'm going to draw a picture of that somehow, and try to capture that in my nature journal. Maybe go to the beach, and we're going to do some observations of people, and I'm going to look and see what's interesting. Like, why am I drawn to watch that little girl as she's jumping over the waves? Like, why is that so intriguing to me? And so I will draw a picture of it, and I might write something that even turns out kind of poetic about what, maybe it's her first time in the water, or maybe her first time even at a beach. Why is that so you can use the idea of doing these simultaneously. Informational, storytelling, personal, something about feelings. They're a little bit more wide open than they are, here's a particular specific thing we're going to write about. Okay, all right. Then there's times where we start with drawing. So I'm going to put drawing first. Okay, and so we've just found something we wanted to draw. Maybe I'm wanting to learn to draw, so I put a bowl of fruit out there and try to draw it. Or I'm going to use one of these books and I want to draw some kids or some people. So I'm going to work with the shapes and actually try to draw somebody that looks more human than a stick figure. And my writing from that, so writing then would be after. Okay, and some of it might be writing about the drawing process. Okay, so we'd call that reflective. And my writing could be about the emotions that went with trying to draw this and some of the frustrations, or it could be about what I was drawing. It could be about the mechanical side of what I was doing and what seemed natural and what seemed at first like, okay, I'm supposed to draw this oval and then this square and then these dots, and I just felt like, what am I drawing? And then it starts to come together. So what you're going through as you're drawing. So reflective is after. And so I draw first and then I reflect on my process. Another thing you can do is draw a picture and then write a story from it. Or if you have a couple kids, they each draw a picture and then they swap and write a story about it. I see this a lot with little kids where they will draw a picture. They will verbally tell me the story because they're too young to handwrite it yet. But I'll say, what is that a picture of? You know, we've done this. What's that a picture of? And they go on and on and on and tell you this whole story, right? Of all this action and all these people and their relationships and what they said and what they did, all from that picture. And many times that picture isn't even very clear that that's three people, right? But that's afterwards. So this could be a story I'm going to tell from the drawing itself. Another could be tone or analysis of the piece. So I'm going to draw something. I'm going to attempt maybe to mimic something that's drawn about something more profound than a stick figure or a person or an apple. And then I'm going to kind of do an analysis of what I drew. Does it capture the depth of what I saw that I was trying to draw? So maybe I saw a man with his dog, and there was this incredible affection between the two, and I just thought that was really cool. I don't have a dog. Who knows what your situation is, but maybe your child observed something, and so they drew that. Well, then afterwards they come back and they do an analysis of their own drawing, and they write out and they look, did I capture the emotion that I saw in my drawing? Now, if I'm a pretty amateur drawer, probably not. But if I'm improving in drawing, or drawing is something that is my gift and I enjoy doing it and I'm getting better, I could do some analysis of that. You could also do toner analysis of other drawings. It doesn't have to be something you drew. This is where we get into like art analysis and art appreciation, is that you could look at the drawing someone made, maybe of some architecture, or a hand drawing of a person, or a hand drawing of a, you can look up all sorts of artists and look up drawing artists and look and write about those drawings and what is profound about those. Why is that, worth $1 million? Why is that hanging in the Louvre? Why is that particular drawing impact so many people? So there's a little research and things like that, but I'm doing some analysis with it. That would definitely be somebody older. That's not a second or third grade test, but certainly fourth and fifth, you can start to bring in other people's artistic work and ask what were they, what's profound about this. Now, there's also, and you see this in movies a lot, where like a teacher is bringing this drawing to the parents saying, I'm concerned about Johnny. He's, 5 years old in our preschool class, and he's drawing everything with lots of black. And it looks really angry. And I just want you to be aware that this is what's showing up on his page. Now, this is true. Lots of young people, when they're drawing, their feelings come out in the colors and the images that they draw, right? And so you see this represented in movies and film a lot. Well, what if we were able to find, you can Google some of these, or have your little one draw, and do an analysis of, well, here's a kid's drawing. What do you think is really going on? As I look at, here's like 4 drawings from them. What do I think that is? And do some analysis. It's trying to dig into, what does this artistic piece say, right? That's kind of what we do when we draw something or paint something. We're representing something up there in images instead of words. And so by using drawing to improve writing, we're asking you to go between them. So to begin to interpret or analyze, begin to use someone's picture to write a story. In fact, the drawing first to even do any, like maybe reflective writing has to stay with the individual, but story writing, you could pick any drawing that you find online or somebody else's drawing, even a famous person's drawing, and say, I want you to write a story using this. If they like to draw themselves, then pulling from even another person's drawing will have an attraction and an engagement for them. Okay, so that's drawing first. So what if we write first? And then we draw. And that's a lot of times what happens. I don't want to say with illustrations, with picture books, but frequently you have someone just write the text and then they send it off to an illustrator who then interprets the tone and the style and what they're really saying and illustrates it. So maybe you have them write a story about a trip somewhere. Like we went to, last week, I got to go with Levette's field trip group, which was really fun, to a strawberry farm. So you come back and so you've done some writing about maybe the strawberry process, how they grow strawberries. And so you did that writing, and now you want them to draw about it. And the drawing could be very artistic, or it could be a visualization of the process that might be a little bit more about the cycle and arrows and procedural and sequential in nature. But you write about something first and then draw from it. I'm sorry. There is a fly flying around in here, and he keeps landing on me and landing on my computer and landing on the wall. He's really irritating. And so if you see me doing this, it's because I really want to go grab my fly swatter and kill him, but I don't want to interrupt this live. Anyway, a little real moment. You could also pull from some experience that they had, like, we just had a family member pass away, like grandma or great grandma passes away. And so what I want you to do is I want you to write like you were going to be writing her a letter of all the things you appreciate about her. And then we're going to draw some pictures of the things that you remember about her, or even vice versa. I mean, you could do draw first and then write, or write and then draw, but we're going to use these in tandem. Well, I guess that kind of might be even simultaneous. We're going to use these together to pay tribute to grandma. I have my husband's father passed away a few years ago, and very young and unexpectedly. And so every year on his anniversary with his wife, we, because she's still alive, we get together and we talk about some of the great things that Grandpa Robert was, and things that were funny, and things that he said, and things that he'd say now if he were alive, and all. And we kind of pay tribute to him. And someday I'm going to have my son begin to collect some of those stories and even write and draw pictures. Now, he never got to meet him, but I want him to know him. And so you can use this kind of drawing and writing together to do something as personal and intimate as a tribute to someone, a reflection about a conflict, even as an apology. I want you to go draw a picture of an apology to your sister. And then I want you to write her an apology. Kind of a simultaneous thing, but you're using drawing and writing together. And sometimes one can inspire the other, especially if they like to draw. Coming up with a whole lot of specific types of writing around drawing, because it's so artistic, usually. Drawing certainly could be drawing visualizations, like the strawberry making process, or the life cycle of a butterfly and how it metamorphoses, or things like that. You certainly could use drawing with that. Let's say we observed a butterfly out in our nature walk. We come back, and in our journal we're going to use drawing and writing simultaneously to show this. But again, that's informational. We want to represent this butterfly's life. And then we're going to describe, so you're going to draw pictures of what happens at each stage, and then we're going to write the words out of what happens at each stage. So it can be really personal, or it can just help them better understand maybe some different concepts that you're digging into with different subject areas. Something that just popped into my mind is let's say you're reading about the Civil War. And, little boys love, my son, everything's a sword. I mean, everything is a sword. And, his dad, my husband, was in the Army. So he comes by very naturally being a protector and a fighter, and a young man that's probably going to go in the military just like his dad. But they are naturally this way. And so when we talk about war, sometimes their picture is a scene from Lord of the Rings, where you've got swords and shields and bloodshed, and this guy hanging over this, long spear. Okay, so they could draw that and then talk about and write about, when, did they use spears and swords in the Civil War? No, okay, so what weapons did they use? Let's redraw a picture that uses the right kind of weapon, and then let's write about what would a scene in the Civil War have looked like. That's more about revising the picture, but you certainly could draw. We're going to read about the Civil War. I want you to draw a picture about one of the battles, and then we're going to write about it. So you can use drawing and writing in tandem simultaneously with even studying subject areas. If they like to draw, let them. Let them bring in pictures and visuals and illustrations and see in their mind what they're trying to learn. And that will help the words, and the words will help the pictures. And so using those together. So again, it can be as personal, as reflective about how I feel, as apologetic, as tribute to grandma or grandpa or someone who's passed away or somebody important, all the way to it's just helping me understand a concept that's really hard. If you're like me, I don't draw very well, so I like to make visualizations of things, but I don't necessarily draw pictures when I'm being more reflective or personal. I doodle, I use colors. In fact, I enjoy using stickers. And so those kinds of things that are a little bit more artsy craftsy, or which we did a couple weeks ago. But drawing itself, if they enjoy drawing, if they are finding themselves even good at it, then let them draw and draw the writing from it. If you have any more ideas, let me know. I don't want to just rattle on to fill time, but I think those are my biggest takeaways with using drawing. Improving writing is a struggle. It's not easy to do. And so involving play is going to help you bring learning to their door, to what they're interested in, what makes them enjoy the learning process. And in what you're doing is you're awakening a learner. And so with that, I'm going to let you go. And I thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys soon.